Obviously, Shahrukh is the majority owner, and then you have
Yeah.
Juhi and Juhi's husband Jay. They're all terrific human beings. We have seen a lot of situations that have happened in IPL: betting, fixing, this thing, Loda committee, this committee, bans. We've seen all of that. Say he's a batsman, he's a bowler, he's an all-rounder, but he's just the number one T20 player in the world. And he's like the Michael Jordan of T20 cricket. There's no question about it. Bumps, and I was having tears in my eyes. Then I was telling myself, hey, big man, you are a big man, you can't be crying. So
Hello, everyone. You're on SK Live. I'm your host, Indranil Basu. Today we have Mr. Venky Mysore, the CEO of the Kolkata Knight Riders. Sir, good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you and everyone who might have given up their time to come and watch this show. So it's nice to connect with you, Indranil.
No, it's a great pleasure having you on the show, sir. So how have you been? How is golf coming along? I know you're not able to play your golf regularly.
do not rub it in. Do not rub it in. I tell you, it's such an unusual time for all of us.
Yeah.
I think I was telling somebody this morning
Yeah.
that I speak with lots of people in different parts of the world, and the conversation goes exactly the same way. For the first time, I recall, everyone is going through the same thing. But to be perfectly honest, I mean, I've enjoyed this phase. I've thoroughly enjoyed it because I just feel that in 30 plus years of my working life, this is the first time I've really had time to think,
Yes.
and not be rushed, because we all have a certain timetable and a clock ticking in our head. And so as we work through this whole thing, sometimes we become very mechanical and we just don't have time to think. But now, it's given me a chance to step back, think, and as I interact with my team, it's about trying to reimagine our lives and reimagine our businesses, and hopefully we'll come up with some creative ideas and look back a few years down the road and look back at this pandemic and say, it was a good thing that it happened because it allowed us to do some of these things. So I have a very, positive experience so far, and a positive outlook towards what we might be able to do.
And one more thing which has come out is that you stay with your family, which is so important, which we don't get time. Only weekends we got to meet our families. But this pandemic has ensured that the bonding has improved within the four walls. All those things have happened.
I agree. But now they're ready to kick me out of here. They're saying you're too much of a nuisance. Why don't you go? When are you going to IPL? When are you going to CPL? Go shoot some content. Enough quality time. So no, joking. But you're right. I think we've had some great conversations and time together.
Yeah. Cricket has finally started in England. It's such a pleasant sight. Cricket starting in whites, and IPL is probably going to happen. Schedules are going to be out. So when are the team moving? I mean, everyone wants to know what's happening within the team. The Zoom calls happening. People are, interacting over the phone, over video conferences happening. So what is exactly the plan right now?
See, essentially, just back to the point you made about just being anxious to get out there. See, we are in the content business, right? I mean, both sports and entertainment, the way we run it. And one thing that has become very clear is that live content is in great demand.
Yes.
And so therefore, sports is one of the most unique forms of live content. And I think everyone is waiting for it.
Yeah.
And notwithstanding the challenges that we're all going through in this phase, it's wonderful to see that both CPL is going to happen first. And our CPL is starting on the 18th of August. As you know, we own the Caribbean, in the Caribbean League, we own the Trinidad and Tobago franchise.
Yeah.
We call ourselves Trinbago Knight Riders. So that season is starting on 18th of August, and the final will be on 10th of September. So a lot of jugglery in terms of logistics, but somehow we made it, we put it all together. And so looking forward to that first. And that's also going to be all our games. TKR games will be shown live in India at prime time, hopefully on Star. So that'll be wonderful. Then right after that, what we have heard so far, although there's no official announcement that's come from IPL, but all the unofficial information that is filtered through suggests A, that it will happen in UAE, and
Yeah,
B, the window they're looking at is 19th of September through the 10th of November.
yeah.
There could be a few days adjustment here and there, but within that window it'll happen. And so now that we have the start date and end date, now we start working kind of backwards. I think one of the things that all teams are experiencing is that, frankly, in terms of Indian boys in particular, they've really not had too much of a chance to practice, hold the bat, or hold the ball, whatever, and their physical fitness as well. Everyone's been working on their things, but so I think we're going to get out there at least 2, 3, 4 weeks before the start and start gearing up, help our players to become physically fit and also match fit. So probably somewhere around the middle of August is what we're looking to get to UAE and start preparations and then get ready, hopefully, for the start of the season on the 19th.
I wish you could take some Indian cricketers to CPL so that they can get some match practice before IPL.
Well, we've got one Indian cricketer who this will be the first time in the history of CPL. Praveen Tambe, we picked him to play for TKR.
Yeah.
And of course, he's allowed to play because he is officially retired from all first-class cricket in India.
Yeah.
But he's really excited. We are excited for him. It's an awesome opportunity. But so it'll be wonderful someday for Indian cricketers to be part of that league. It's an awesome league. Let's see how it goes. But no, I think they're all itching to start. These are all professionals, and what they know to do and what they enjoy doing is being out there in the field and just playing cricket and for the love of it. And I think just the opportunity to do that during this kind of an unusual phase is very exciting for all concerned.
And you must be keeping how to keep every player safe. There has to be some protocol. You must be putting that in place, right? Eventually.
Yeah, see, the number one priority is that exactly what you said, is the health and safety of all concerned. Because as much as we are excited that the season is starting and we all want to get back to some form of normalcy, I think we know enough by now to not underestimate the risk that all of us are exposed to. And there's an invisible enemy out there, and the risk is real. It's not a fake risk or anything that some people might say. I know people who are near and dear to me, colleagues, as well as somebody who used to work with me, who have succumbed to it. So this is a real risk. So therefore, we are not taking anything lightly. We've got all kinds of discussions and health protocol that has been put in place. And I'm saying when we say we're putting it in place, I know IPL is going to do it. But as KKR, we are taking even extra precautions to develop our own protocol and our own standards that we want to meet, and have somebody there who is going to sort of oversee all of these things. Because compliance of this is very important. Players are used to, these are all sportsmen, athletes who are out there and used to doing certain things a certain way. All of us have to adapt. And so to that extent, that's a very important point that you brought up.
Venky sir, you have you worked in insurance sector close to 3 decades. And when you see such a thing happening, pandemic happening like this, so what was the situation? Was there any insurance cover for IPL? Could there be any insurance cover for a pandemic like this, for IPL, for an event like IPL?
See, as you know, the last pandemic was 1918s. None of us were around, and it's been well over 100 years. So one doesn't even know. If somebody had asked me, should we cover for this, I would have said, hey, something that happens once in 100 years, how could you cover for that? And, having been in the insurance business for a long time, the important thing that the insurance product does and the industry does is to cover certain types of risk. So if you have life insurance, it's covering the risk of loss of life. If you have health insurance, it's covering the risk of people needing medical attention. And if you have homeowners insurance, they say if there's a fire or something. Now, with a pandemic, it is so difficult to anticipate what that risk is. So to my knowledge, none of the insurance policies had pandemic cover. There are always exclusions. For example, even when you do homeowners insurance, when you cover the contents and all that, earthquakes are excluded because that is considered to be unusual, act of God. And so therefore, a pandemic is definitely not covered. But I think everyone will now start thinking on what would it take for a pandemic to be covered and what would be the premium associated with that. So there is always a cost benefit that we'll have to figure out.
So what are the insurances an IPL team has in terms of their players insurance, their salary being insured? What all are the insurances you have to do as a team management?
See, we try to understand the types of risk that players and as a team that we might be exposed to. The first and foremost thing is medical. So you always cover that for saying if God forbid something goes wrong, there is medical coverage for all concerned. Then you're talking about youngsters. Relatively, everyone is in less, particularly our team, the average age is like 24, 25. So we do what is called personal accident coverage. So whether it is, God forbid, some type of an issue that happens because of accidents, or somebody gets injured, somebody gets badly injured. So those types of coverages are what we take. There aren't there are loss of income type of coverages, but some of the players who have very big contracts, because the premium also is high for that, they individually end up taking that. All of us can actually end up taking it. Depending on what our jobs are, because there's always the risk of losing income because of injuries or event postponement or event cancellation and things like that. So what we try to do is to use insurance to protect some of the bigger risks. And the bigger risk always is, okay, people have bought tickets and there's a washout and not a single ball is bowled. We refund their ticket money, but the franchise is insured against that.
Yeah.
And there are situations where whether it is medical insurance or personal accident and those types of things. And if there is an injury to a player, now we are obligated to pay a certain amount of money to the player, and the franchise insures itself against that type of a loss, because not only we lose the opportunity to feature that player, but we also end up having to pay. So we insure ourselves against something like that. So these are the things that we've done so far. But I think what the pandemic has done right now is to got us thinking in different ways. So I think different products might come about, and we'll take a closer look at that.
Do we need to insure the players when we fly them out of to UAE for matches for the IPL this year?
Insure them for what? Against what?
Your team they're playing for KKR or for playing for any other franchisee. Do you have to insure these players? Their health insurance I'm talking about.
That we take anyway. That health insurance and personal accident is taken in any case for all players.
Okay.
Whether we play in India, we play elsewhere, and whatnot. So that will apply also in the case of the event taking place in say UAE in this instance. So they're already covered for that.
I hope everything goes up well there. But for those who have joined in, this is very important information, is that Venky sir is also a university blue. He's a first-class cricketer, perhaps the only CEO, only cricket managerial job in cricket managerial job who's played this game at the highest level. So can you just tell us, you were an off spinner, right? I was talking to someone who you could bowl off spin, and you're a batsman also.
Yeah, so some of the people who faced me didn't think that I turned the ball much, but yes, I can call myself an off spinner. Well, I must say I was more of a batting all-rounder, so I used to play number 3, and I was a decent off spinner, and so so it's like most youngsters growing up in India, cricket was always a passion. And, I grew up in Chennai, although I'm originally from Karnataka. As soon as I was born, my father was transferred to Chennai. And so I grew up there. So I speak Kannada at home. I speak Tamil very fluently. And so, like everybody else, I don't know what was the age at which I picked up the bat and ball, but cricket was just, it consumed our lives, and it was so much fun. And some of my best childhood friends are in Chennai now, who we all played cricket together, gully cricket type of thing. And then we graduated and started playing league cricket and whatnot, college 11, and then I made it to Madras University, which was quite I look back and feel very proud of that, because I know university cricket growing up was a very, very high standard.
Yes.
And having had the opportunity to play that, I was very, very thrilled about it. Then MBA came calling, US came calling, and the curtain came down on my further cricketing aspirations. I left for the US. I was there for 13 years in the US, but I played league cricket there in Washington, DC. It was a lot of fun, because a lot of people who have gone from here, and pretty decent standards.
Yeah.
And so weekend cricket used to happen. But that's about it. Not too much time to spend on that, but it was a lot of fun playing cricket.
So when your captain make those changes inside the field, you exactly know what they're doing. That's a good thing.
Well, I think a lot of people know what they're doing. I think India is such a cricket literate country that you see some of the points that come out on social media and things like that after a game.
Yeah.
And there are so many knowledgeable people out there. And I grew up in Chennai, and I do think that the Chennai public at large are extremely knowledgeable about cricket. So going as a youngster, as a kid, to Chepauk at that time, and then watching some of the test matches, and we would sit in D stand, which was considered to be the most knowledgeable stand. So people knew exactly what was going on in the game, when the ball went off the pad, and everyone was appealing, and this section would just sit quietly. Hey, that's off the pad. They knew all that stuff. So it's great to watch the game from that set of lenses. But I maintain my distance. People know what they're doing on the field, and it'll be too presumptuous on my part to go in and say or comment on anything. So, but I enjoy the game very much, just watching it.
It's really kind of the KKR Arona, Mr. Shahrukh Khan, to get a cricket guy, in the managerial role, and someone who loved the game so much, was away in insurance sector, and got him here.
I know. He was largely responsible for course correction. Let's put it that way. And it was a great thrill for me to be able to, by sheer accident. I mean, this was never planned this way. It just so happened. But to be able to pursue one's own passion and the love for something, in this case cricket, and still be able to bring your business experience to the table, and your multinational experience, and having lived in different countries and different things, built businesses of different scales, to be able to bring that thought process into something that you enjoy doing has been a great thrill.
Is Mr. Khan involved in the management as well as the governance of KKR, or is it like he's just taking the policy decisions and then leaving the day-to-day work to the CEO, Mr. Venky sir?
No, I must say, I've been very fortunate that obviously Shahrukh is the majority owner, and then you have Juhi and Juhi's husband Jay.
Yeah,
they're all terrific human beings, and have great perspective on how to allow people they believe are in the best position to go out and do certain things, rather than get involved with it on a day-to-day basis. In fact, when I came in, the first conversation that I had was, I said, why me? I mean, I love the idea at some level, but please understand, I've been the CEO of MetLife India, then I was the country head for Sun Life, and all the businesses that I was running was about $1 billion top line. I said, are you over-engineering this by bringing someone like me? Does this business, a 2-month tournament, really need someone with my type of profile? I mean, I'm not trying to whatever, but I'd done a few interesting things in my life, and then I also said that, see, the thing is that if I came, and so Shahrukh was very sweet about it. He said, listen, I mean, it's only, my experience is only when you get good people into a system,
Yeah.
the actual vision develops. So sometimes it's a misconception that the person at the top, call him owner, promoter, whatever, that they have a vision already and say, okay, now this is the vision, and now I want people to come in and do all of these things. Many times that vision is still a very, very high level, big picture, right? Yes, we have to succeed, right? That can be a vision, to say, we have to do very well on the field, we have to do very well off the field. What does that mean, right? Then what happens is, his outlook was that you have to come in and help us shape this vision. What is that vision, right? So therefore, that's why we need, say, someone like you. Then the second question I had for him was, see, if you bring someone like me, I'm used to working in a very autonomous environment. I'm very entrepreneurial in my mindset. That doesn't mean that there's no accountability. I'm very accountable to, I know who my boss is, who my bosses are. And in many cases, when I was CEO, I was reporting to the board, the board of directors. So I'm accountable there. Accountability is not an issue. But if there is going to be micromanagement and involvement in that, then I said, you don't need me. No, you really don't need someone like me. So that has been fantastic. Now I've completed almost 10 years with KKR and working with SRK, Jui and Jay. And not once have they interfered in anything. They don't, to answer your question, they're not involved with day-to-day, they're not involved with, we have a collaborative discussion many times. And most of the times, my job is to think through the business and make the decisions. And in some cases, if there are big decisions, then I say, okay, these are our options. This is what I think we should do. What do you think? In almost all cases, it's your call type of response is what I get. So I've been very fortunate that way.
Justice Lodha also said, the top guys should always look after the governance.
Yeah, see, I think governance is a very important aspect of business. And for me, I've been fortunate that while I've been in the insurance industry and financial services industry for almost 2 decades, as you put it, it's one of the most regulated industries among all. You take banking, you take insurance, you take mutual funds, stock market. They're all regulated because you're dealing with people's money, right?
Yeah.
So it takes. I've already got used to the idea that we are in a very regulated environment and therefore have to operate by certain rules. Now here, therefore, we sort of form our own regulation. This is what I call a self-regulation. Nobody's coming in and saying, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. But we create a self-regulatory type of a mechanism. And how you want to run your business. The integrity with which you want to run your business, the ethics around it. Because, we have seen a lot of situations that have happened in IPL with betting, fixing, this thing, Lodha committee, this committee, bans. We've seen all of that. So it's very, very important that governance, compliance, and the way of doing business is given appropriate weightage, apart from the fact that, yes, it's a game and there is a business around it.
And I remember first 4 years, KKR actually struggled to make a mark in the tournament. And in 2012, the way they won, and you have to have a vision to get there. And that vision was always there with the team. And that's why they again became the champion 2014 and been a force to reckon with, throughout. We saw in 18, 19, they're always a big force. KKR is someone, it's not a pushover. You can't take that team that lightly. So how prepared is KKR this year? Not been regular cricket happening for a lot of players, but how prepared? You can talk to them. You can get that energy. So how hungry, how prepared are they?
I think, as you rightly put it, I think a big part of what makes a big part of our culture in the organization is one of that strong, burning desire to succeed and to do well in whatever we do and excel in what we do. Therefore, having won the championship twice here, we won it 3 times in the Caribbean. So we've got 5 championships, which is more than any other cricket franchise has had in both the leagues put together. And you're always in contention. So what you strive to become is a contender. And what that means is that you realize, having won championships, as to how difficult it is to win championships. And therefore, you always want to be in contention to win. And you will see KKR always in the mix.
Yes.
And, that's part of the culture of the organization.
Yeah.
Therefore, from this year's preparation standpoint, we always think and say, if you want to be a contender and you want to go out and do something and succeed, preparation is huge for that. So one of the things that has distinguished us, and part of our vision was, see, preparation is not something that happens only 1 month before the league happens. Of course, cricketers are playing all kinds of things, and of course, this year is different, whatnot. But 3 years ago, I kicked off what we call as the KKR Academy.
Yeah.
And the KKR Academy, my lead coach there is Abhishek Nair. We have Omkar Salvi as our bowling coach. We have Kamlesh Jain as our physio. We have a strength and conditioning coach. We have Mysores. We have a fielding coach. So this is a small group of people who are excellent and who are passionate. Now, what we do is we work with particularly our Indian cricketers in the off season. They have their domestic commitments, but whenever they have time, they may have 3 days time, they may have 15 days time. We put camps together for them and we get them over. So it's an ongoing activity to help them improve their fitness and help them improve their skills. So from a preparation standpoint, therefore, we are constantly working with our teams. So it's not just okay, today the camp starts, so we'll start preparing, we'll get there. So I think we are mentally and physically in a situation where I think that level of preparation is very good. Of course, because of the pandemic, we have not been able to engage in some of the drills and the camps that we normally have to work on it. But that's going to come into place very soon, and hopefully we'll be ready to roll.
And then you have that in mind all the time, Korbo Lorbo Jitbo Re.
Well, so that's it's a beautiful slogan in Bengali. When Korbo Lorbo Jitbo, Korbo means we'll do, Lorbo means we'll fight, and Jitbo means we'll win. So that end result is always kept in mind. But what you expect of any team, wherever it is, whether it's the corporate world or in this case sports, is that they give their 100%.
Absolutely.
And that's what the tagline and the slogan also means, that we'll work hard towards it and we'll fight and hopefully we'll win. That's the thought process behind it.
Where is the mind behind this slogan?
It's interesting. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest, because this was created before my time,
Okay.
And it's a good question. I honestly have to admit that I don't know the answer to that. I'll try and get that answer for my own sake as to who came up with that tagline, because it's a very good tagline. And of course, there's a anthem of KKR, and it's sung in a very nice way, and we play it a lot when the games go on. But it's a terrific tagline that has stuck on.
It's a very catchy tagline. There's
Absolutely.
no doubt about it. So,
Absolutely.
going to UAE, probably it's happening in UAE, yet to get the official confirmation from the BCCI. Wickets are going to be flat, and when the wickets are flat, the most dangerous side, in my opinion, little that I know about cricket, is KKR. So how do you see that? Does it put a lot of pressure on the team?
See, honestly, nobody knows how the wickets are going to behave, because last time when we played half the tournament in UAE in 2014, I mean, luckily in that year we won the tournament, so fingers crossed about it. I remember that the first game was against Mumbai Indians, and we put up a good total, and we bowled really well and won it. So there was a good total that we put up. Then we again played one more game in Abu Dhabi, where it was a low-scoring game. So we don't know how the wickets would behave. I mean, for example, we played a game against RCB in Sharjah, and we had a relatively low total, I think 130 something, but we defended that. And then we came to Abu Dhabi, and I think we played against Kings 11. They scored 130 odd. We couldn't chase it. So we don't know how the wickets are going to behave, to be honest. And I have a feeling that yes, it can be, we can say it'll be flat, but it'll probably change in character halfway through the tournament, is my sense, because there are so many games that are happening only in 3 stadiums. So on an average, 20 games per stadium, actually. So how the wickets will behave, it'll have a big bearing on how this tournament goes. But fortunately, if it is going to become a bit spin friendly, I think we have one of the best spinning attacks going as well. So we'll be quite excited about that. We have Sunil Narayan, the legendary Sunil Narayan. We have Kuldeep Yadav. We have this young mystery bowler, Varun Chakravarti.
Yes.
We have a young left-arm spinner who's going to do really well, Siddharth, and so it's going to be interesting to see how the wickets behave, and if it's going to be flat, and if it's going to assist a little bit of pace and seam movement. We have excellent bowlers. We have Pat Cummins leading the charge there. We have Andre Russell, who is always a champion, even with the ball in hand. We have some youngsters who are outstanding: Prasidh Krishna, Sandeep Warrior, Shivam Mavi. We have an exciting all-rounder in Kamlesh Nagarkoti. So it's going to be very interesting. Spinners, I should not forget Nitish Rana. He has been a surprise package for us. So I think we're a very well-balanced side with very good power batting as well as quality batting that's there, and spin and pace. So fingers crossed.
So I always felt that KKR's main strength lies in its all-round ability. They have like quality, and over the years it's just improved. So what are your thoughts on it?
Absolutely. See, we have been fortunate that if you see, Andre Russell has been the #1 T20 player in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say he's a batsman, he's a bowler, he's an all-rounder, but he's just the #1 T20 player in the world. I mean, he's like the Michael Jordan of T20 cricket. Yes. There's no question about it. But a lot of people don't realize that Sunil Narayan has been an outstanding all-rounder. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows how good he is as a bowler, but he's transformed himself into an all-rounder. Yeah. And that's because of the opportunities that he got at KKR, and he has grabbed it with both hands. Yes. And it's remarkable the kind of role that he plays in opening the batting for us and coming in and bowling at various stages whenever the captain wants him to. So that makes it two really strong all-rounders that we have had. Then you look at someone like a Pat Cummins that we have brought in. He's a proper all-rounder, vice captain of the Australian team and ranked way up there. And, don't forget people like Nitish Rana. He's a classy, outstanding T20 batsman and can bowl very, very usefully. I mean, he's taken some crucial wickets at crucial stages. So we're very fortunate. And then I think Kamlesh Nagarkoti, the world should see him. I mean, it was unfortunate over the last 2 seasons with his injury. And this year, knock on wood, for his own sake, God willing, he'll be fit and will be ready to play. I think the cricketing world will enjoy seeing a youngster who is an outstanding talent. Outstanding. And he's probably one of the best fielders going around in India today. People compare him to Jadeja and put him in that same class. So it'll be exciting to see.
How tough is it for the team to jot down the 11 when you actually decide in the team? There's so much option.
Fortunately, I don't get involved in that. I leave it to the experts.
Yeah.
But you're right. You see, I think when we put a squad together, one of the things that KKR we have done very well is we have maintained a compact size squad. We don't go for a very large squad. Only 11 people can play, and you need backup players. God forbid, in the case of injury, or if you want to change your team combination or do something like that. So, our goal is always to say that every single person who is in our squad should be capable of walking into the 11 if he is asked to, and be ready to play, right? So from that perspective, you're right. It's tough to pick the 11, but luckily we have some really good brains there in the form of our head coach and Brendan McCullum. Our mentor is David Hussey. Bowling coach is Kyle Mills. Then you have an Abhishek Nair as assistant coach, Omkar Salvi, and then now we have a fielding coach in James Foster. So there's some great brains there. and they all, along with the captain and vice captain, will put their heads together. I mean, DK has been a terrific captain for us, and Owen Morgan has come in, probably one of the best white ball captains going around in the world,
Yeah.
and he'll deputize and work with DK and the head coach. So we've got some great brains there, and they know what they're doing, and I'm sure they'll put the best team for that day against that opposition.
But do you have a special arrangement for Russell, because he's someone who's going to win you matches regularly? So if he doesn't score runs, if he fails, uh, uh, does he have that fear of getting dropped or something? This is a very special talent, the kind of hitting he can do. So do you have that kind of? You've given him that long rope, that extra rope which is needed for a champion cricketer.
Well, I think Russell. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that, and I meant it when I said he's the best T20 player in the world, and therefore he'll walk into any side without a question,
Yeah.
and therefore I don't think he has any such concerns, and we don't have any such even a fleeting thought that goes through our mind saying. I think Russell is somebody who sets his own bar
Yes.
and raises the bar beyond one's imagination. I mean, some of the games that he has won for us, I mean, he's been with us since 2014.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's been a permanent fixture in the KKR setup, right? And the kind of games that I've seen him win,
Yeah.
I mean, it is almost like you're standing there and saying, is this really happening? Type of look on your face. And I can only imagine how the spectators and the crowds who are there at the stadium, they enjoy the kind of entertainment that he provides. He's just gifted and has worked very hard on his game to do things that mere mortals cannot imagine doing, let alone doing. So we're very fortunate to have a match winner like him. I think we have several match winners. I mean, if you see young Shubman Gill, I mean, he's the future of Indian cricket. And you see, we know what Sunil Narayan does. We know what Andre Russell does. Nitish Rana has done some unbelievable stuff for us. DK has been just an absolute asset in terms of how he plays and how he finishes games and goes in tough situations and finds ways to finish the game, and the experience that he brings to the table. It's just been amazing. Of course, now you add Owen Morgan to that lineup, and you have a Pat Cummins to that lineup, and then the youngsters that I mentioned. Very, very fortunate. But there's some very strong bench strength as well. So it is a tough. The discussions around team day selection will be tough. But as I said, I'm lucky that I don't. That's not part of my responsibility. Leave it to the brains behind it, captain and coach and the others.
Sometimes from outside, you just get that feeling Russell should bat little higher up the order. He's just been kept in the team for closing the scenes. I mean, he's such a powerful player. The way he ends, he's one of the biggest finisher of the game in T20, as you said also. So don't you think he should at times bat up the order also, that just to give that extra edge? He can get those extra balls. He can hit those extra sixes.
No, I think the team, the think tank has always done that. They always keep that in mind. For example, I remember a game against Mumbai Indians last year, where we batted first, and I think the openers batted until the 9th over, and when I think Chris Lynn got out first. When he got out, actually, the think tank, they sent Russell number 3.
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't. What my learning is in T20, it's not about the position that you bat, but really the stage of the game, right? So you want to give Russell enough time to go and do some damage there. At the same time, it's a fine balance that I think the coaches know really well on what are the types of situations where he excels and he plays really, really well. When the bowlers are also under pressure, he also puts them under pressure. So you don't want to give him too much time, because then he starts maybe changing his game and playing a little differently. At the same time, you don't want to give him too little time. So it's a fine balance. But luckily, the think tank, they know what they're doing. So he is batted in different positions, and it has a lot to do with just the stage of the game. I mean, I remember a game in Bangalore against RCB. My God, I think we needed 50 odd runs in 18 balls,
Mm.
and he wins it with 1 over to spare. And I'm sitting there and thinking, what happened just now? It's just unbelievable. Who does that? So he's fantastic in whichever situation. But I think the tagline there is a match winner. So as far as Russell is concerned, everyone knows in our setup, and I think the opposition also knows, that he's a match winner. So how do you put him into a situation where he can go win a match is, I think, the challenge that the think tank faces, and they've done a great job so far. I know we all would love for him to come and open and play 20 overs and smash it all over the place,
Yeah.
but there are many others who are very capable of doing the thing, and it's a team game always. Set the foundation, work through it in a way where he can come in and put the finishing touches.
How hungry is your captain Dinesh Karthik? I know we last year he was supposed to be playing. I mean, I'm really sorry to tell the viewers and everyone that he really deserved to be playing in the 11 when he was in the Indian team, but somehow he wasn't playing regularly. He played few matches towards the end of the tournament, but he's a champion of a cricketer. And how hungry is he right now for the IPL?
Oh, he's always very hungry. He's a fantastic individual. I think that's what I like most about him. Is a very honest, a simple, and a straightforward human being, and who loves his game. He's got great passion for the game, and he's endowed with some unbelievable skills. He's so natural with. I think we saw that from the time he played for India. He's naturally very talented, and he works extremely hard. Along with that comes this desire and this hunger. And I think what has happened over the last 2 years is that he's got very much attached to the franchise. And we like seeing that. We like people, and I think we are very fortunate that our entire team, most of them have been there for a long, long time. They get quite attached to the franchise and the brand and care for one another. The franchise and the brand, they're all inanimate things when you describe it, but it's all about people. So somehow, the bonding that happens has been very, very strong. So when you put that all together for Dinesh Karthik as the captain, he is extremely hungry. He's got a burning desire to go out and win a IPL championship, no doubt about it. Sometimes we have to contain him a little bit and say, take it easy a little bit, DK. He's got that much energy that, but it's fantastic to see that. It's really great to see that. That's what it brings out, the passion.
I remember in 2018 when Chennai Super Kings came back and they were the champions, and they were quite scared of KKR. When they're playing the knockout stages, they just prayed one thing, that KKR doesn't come into the finals and into the final, and that was the moment. Those are the moments you have to grab, and unfortunately, knockout stages matches can go either way. T20 really unpredictable, but what a champion side, and the fact that you picked up talents, your great scouting team, scout talent, someone like Shubman Gill being taken into the side, and he's the next superstar. Everyone tells me that. So your thoughts on that? Who picked him at the auction? Whose idea was it? Was it yours? Was it the coach? Was it the captain?
See, first of all, back to your point about CSK and KKR and all that. CSK has been a unbelievable team. To be so consistent and to go to so many finals, and I think they won 3 championships. We stopped them in 2012 when we went to their home and beat them. Somehow we match up well against them. And there are teams that, there are some teams which match up well against KKR historically also. We seem to match up well against CSK, and the games are very, very competitive. Doesn't mean that we're winning every game, but the games against them are very, very competitive. Somehow it brings out the best in us. But as far as our team is concerned, see, we have a really good infrastructure. The ecosystem that we have put together is one where essentially we have the academy I was telling you about, the lead coach Abhishek Nair, Omkar Salvi, etc.
Yeah.
But we have an analyst, Srikanth, who has been with KKR since inception.
Okay.
And he's one of the most passionate guys that you can come across. And he is actually, literally, he's got a KKR tattoo on his chest. So that's how attached he is to the franchise. and he's been a big asset for us. And in thinking through, keeping an eye on, and we have put a scouting system in place. So not only in India, but wherever cricket happens, we have got a scouting system in place. So there's not a single player with any type of talent that might fit into KKR that misses our radar. So they're all there. So we work through this whole thing. We use the academy as a platform not only to work with our existing players, but to bring in talent that we have already unearthed and we have spotted. So that gives us a chance to take a look. And so people like Abhishek, people like Omkar, these are guys who see, and Shrikant, who see them firsthand and really believe that there is something there. So when we make decisions like picking a Shubman Gill or a Shivam Mavi or a Kamlesh Nagarkoti or a Prasidh Krishna. I mean, Prasidh Krishna was actually recommended by Abhishek Nair, to us. And so we took him as a replacement in 2018, actually. So it's amazing how you are able to see Varun, for example. Varun is somebody that our guys had spotted, and we brought him into our camp. We were hoping that nobody would have noticed him, but suddenly, in the first year, Kings 11, bid enormous amount and took him. But luckily, we got him back in the second year. So there's a whole system that works towards spotting talent and being able to bring them in. So the decision is never one person's decision. It's of course I sort of drive all of these things and create an environment where everyone can contribute to that. But it's always collective decision making. But we have some very good set of eyes that and instincts on cricket and on talent that people are constantly watching this.
That's the main thing. You have to catch them young and put them into the ring. That's
Absolutely.
How yes. So, this year's IPL is going to be without spectators. We see on TV, the maximum audience will be, 100% viewing will be through television for all the people who love IPL. But don't you think cricket will be a lot more intense this time, because there'll be no crowd, 10 to 15% crowd, visuals won't be there. So don't you think there'll be a lot of cricket, it'll be a lot intense, what players are doing in the dugouts, what players are doing on the field. There'll be a lot of camera work on them, isn't it? This time it'll be, in that cricket wise, it's going to be quite intense.
See, I think it's safe to say that it'll be very different, right? We're all going to find out how everyone's going to react, because in T20s, this is the first time, and in IPL, first time that the players are going to experience not having crowds in the stadium, right?
Yeah.
And someone said, "Oh, no, this is a new experience." I said, "No, it's not a new experience. You look at test matches. You see England versus this going on. Any marquee test that happens, even in India, there are no crowds, even in a normal year. I think T20 is the one which should be given credit for bringing crowds back into stadiums. And so when you see an Eden Garden 70,000 that's packed, that's because of all the work that we have done and the quality of the product combined that brings people back into stadiums to be entertained. So I think what will be different this year is that, not having the crowds, because players have got used to it. When Andre Russell smacks that six, once he told me, last year we were playing a game against Sunrisers, and it was an impossible situation, and he went in, and one of the best bowlers, death bowlers India has produced, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, was bowling, and it was Andre's day, and he took him apart that over. And there was one shot that he played, which was actually, I think it was a slowish ball wide, outside the off stump, and Andre barely could reach it, and he almost fell down playing that shot. But he hit it for six, so wide mid off. And then I asked him after the game, I said, "Andre, what was that shot? And you had fallen down." And he said, "Man, I don't know, when I'm playing like that, man, the crowd gets me going. And, after I hit that shot and the way the crowd reacted," he said, I could feel I was having tears in my eyes, because I was having goosebumps and I was having tears in my eyes. Then I was telling myself, hey, big man, you are a big man. You can't be crying." So this is the impact that the crowd has on players in those moments.
Yeah.
Our challenge now is that how do you create that type of moments for the players, and
Yeah.
how do you create it for the audience as well? So we're working very closely with the broadcaster with certain ideas on how to use technology to be able to give similar type of fan experience for people who are watching it on television or on streaming, and also give the players some kind of a similar experience. It's like having crowds there. So it's all a virtual approach to both fan experience as well as player experience. So it's challenging us in different ways. I think you're going to see some very interesting innovation and ideas that are going to come in that will, I think, hopefully blow people's minds away and say, wow, so we thought this was going to be kind of a dull, no crowd type of situation, but I think everyone's going to be in for some surprise.
You must have given those ideas to the broadcaster. I'm sure about it.
No, no, I have a couple of ideas, but there are many people who are very bright. So, I had proposed a couple of things, and then how do you take those ideas? For example, we said, at the very beginning, way back when I did a podcast for someone else, and then I was saying that, what if we built LED walls
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
stadium, and we allow people to virtually be present there.
yeah.
Like right now, we are having an interactive session. I'm
Yes,
sitting at my home, you're sitting perhaps at your studio, wherever, and we are having an interactive session. And it's not as good as sitting face to face, but
yeah,
it's almost as good. Right. So if we gave a similar type of experience on LED walls that people can actually log in through various different types of platforms, then what happens is they're enjoying the game at a very different level. And the players will also be able to interact with you because it's in real time.
yeah.
It's not about we watching television on in two dimension where you turn on the television and you're watching it, there's no interaction, but you're still enjoying the content. That's one level. But if you can do this, then it's a different level. So you get involved. So if 55 million people are going to watch an IPL game, any given IPL game, and that's what I'm told KKR games attract that type of viewership. So if there are that many people, how do you get all the 55 million people to be in an interactive mode? And then the experience is different. The fan experience is different. The player experience is different. And then you sort of take technology to another level. So hopefully there'll be some interesting ideas that'll come out this year.
But people who can't watch KKR matches live at the Eden Gardens, will there be something there in the stadium, or IPL? They have the IPL fan park and all that. But is other franchises planning anything like that? To
I think
just
it'll be difficult only because, see, the reason why you can't bring people into stadiums is because of just the risk of COVID and the social distancing
yeah, yeah,
and not allowing people to congregate. So same logic holds true if you try to put a big screen and bring people in
yeah.
or do a fan park or whatever. So I think this year that's going to be a challenge. We're
Yes,
thinking through various ideas.
yeah,
We're thinking through virtual viewing. So, I mean, there is a technology today where you could be in one particular place. I could be sitting here, you could be sitting somewhere there, but somehow through leveraging technology, it's like both of us are enjoying watching the game together. And I see your reaction, you see my reaction, and we
yeah,
are giving high fives virtually to each other, and
yeah,
you're enjoying the game. It's like having 15 people in your home,
yeah,
all watching the same game on one TV.
yeah.
That can be simulated, and that there is technology today which will allow you to do that. And so we are working on some of those types of ideas so we can enhance the experience of every individual and groups and families how they want to watch the game.
Because IPL became famous also because of it got the family together. The pre-match sessions on TV. There were a lot of events happening inside the stadium. It was kind of a picnic kind of a situation. You took your family. You never went alone for IPL matches. I mean, you have to be really, really a big fan to do that. Everyone went in a group, and sharing each other's reaction. That really made IPL what it is today, isn't it?
No doubt, no doubt. See, I think that's the beauty about the game. I was told initially by IPL statistically that there were more women and children who would watch IPL games, and the men were a little too whatever. They said, "Oh, this is T20. This is this." I'm a traditional cricket person, and then they got into it and they started enjoying it, and suddenly you see now it's a family unit watching it all together. And we see this all the time when I see crowds. I mean, although I'm enjoying the game at Eden Gardens, the thing that I'm proudest of is that when I drive on match day from the hotel to the ground,
Yeah.
and I see those long lines, serpentine lines of people waiting to get in their own version of purple and gold. They're wearing headbands, they're wearing their purple shirt, they're wearing gold wristbands, whatnot. But what you see there are family units,
Yeah.
that are all treading together to get into the
Yes.
stadium, and
Yes.
and working through that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting from that standpoint. So I think it's going to be really, really a terrific opportunity for people to come and enjoy the game in different ways. And now we have to create that virtual opportunity for everyone.
Absolutely. So, is it a concern losing out on the gate receipts?
It is, because that's straight away loss of revenue. Where
Yeah.
ticket revenue is lost, plus food and beverage revenue that takes place when crowds are there.
Yeah.
Merchandising, we put up a lot of kiosks and we sell a lot of merchandise during the games. So it is a loss, no doubt about it. But I think the objective this year was very different. The objective was to basically say, how do we get this thing going in spite of the challenges of this particular year? How do we get it going? I think that is where I think everybody was very, very motivated to ensure that the game is the priority and the season is the priority, and it happens. So we're very fortunate that we've been able to at least get to this stage where we believe we can make it work. And now the virus has to cooperate, and God has to be kind for us
Ab-
to for the season to happen.
and I think IPL is the only tournament which can survive without gate money, isn't it, sir?
Thankfully, because of the value of the media rights, I
Yeah.
think the product has become so fantastic in terms of the viewership. I mean, I know it's the third or fourth most watched tournament in the world.
Wow.
I mean, in the world. And therefore, it just shows you how attractive the product is and how much people around the world enjoy watching it. And that is what drives media value as well. And I think it's going from strength to strength. There's no doubt about it. And it'll keep growing, it'll keep increasing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so we're very lucky about it.
But the sponsors are the sponsors responding well?
See, all this, yes. The first answer is yes. I think everyone responds very, very well. And these are, particularly speaking for ourselves, we've been very fortunate to have a set of sponsors who are not only completely committed, but also they think long term. Their outlook is about long term. And we have had sponsors who've been with us for many, many years. Having said that, all businesses have gone through a lot of challenges. I think
Yeah.
it's a reality. We have to recognize that the businesses have gone through challenges. There are many businesses which have been affected. In some cases, revenues have become zero or virtually zero. So there are some concerns that have been flagged off, and there are some conversations that have been happening, and rightfully so, need to happen. But in the end, it'll all work out. In the end, it'll all work out.
It has to work out, sir, because the whole of India is waiting for IPL to happen, and that will perhaps will change the mood of the nation. As one of your captains, former captains, Gautam Gambhir keeps saying that IPL will change the mood of the nation, and we hope it changes the mood. And we sit at home, watch the match, watch the matches, and really take a lot of pleasure out of those games. And cricket is going to start, and we are certainly going to defeat the virus. And sir, thanks a lot, Venky sir, for sparing your time and coming and answering all those questions I had. You've been a lovely guest as always, and so
Thank,
patient. Thanks a lot. Stay safe, and see you face to face when things normalize.
thank you, Indranil. Thank you for having me. It's great chatting with you, and it's
Pleasure.
a great opportunity to speak about all of these things. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Take care. Bye
Bye,
bye.
sir. Bye, bye.